We need to have a very honest, very difficult conversation today, Browns fans. The news we have been dreading for weeks is finally official, and it marks the end of an era in Cleveland. David Njoku, the Chief, the man who has been a staple of this offense for nearly a decade, is gone. He is testing the waters of free agency, and frankly, the bridge between him and the front office has been burned. But here is the twist: I don't think this is a disaster. In fact, if Andrew Berry plays his cards right, this could be the moment the Browns' offense finally evolves into the juggernaut we've been promised. We aren't just looking for a replacement today, we are looking for the missing piece that unlocks everything for Todd Monken's system in 2026. Welcome back into the Browns Report. I'm your host, Joey Deneau, and today we are breaking down exactly how Cleveland replaces a Pro Bowl talent without breaking the bank. But before we dive into the list of 5 names, and trust me, there are some massive surprises here, do me a huge favor. If you want to stay ahead of every rumor, every signing, and every draft pick this offseason, hit that subscribe button right now. We are going to be covering this team every single day, and you do not want to be the last one to know when the news drops. Let's start with the reality of the situation. David Njoku posted on Instagram yesterday, and the message was crystal clear. He said, quote, "The time for me to find a new home has come." That is not a negotiation tactic. That is a goodbye. The Browns and Njoku's camp simply could not find middle ground on a restructured deal, and now the franchise has to eat a tough financial pill. According to the cap experts over at Spotrac, losing Njoku leaves the Browns with about $24.3 million in dead cap money. Now, don't panic yet. The team is almost certainly going to designate this as a post-June 1st release. That allows them to spread the pain out. We are looking at a dead cap hit of about $9.5 million for this upcoming 2026 season, and then a larger chunk, roughly $14.7 million, kicks in during 2027. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. It's the result of kicking the can down the road with void years and restructures to accommodate the Deshaun Watson contract. But Andrew Berry has a plan. He always has a plan. By taking the hit now, he clears a roster spot for a player who might actually fit Todd Monken's vision better than Njoku did. We know what this offense wants to be. We saw it last year with the emergence of Harold Fannin Jr. Let's give that kid his flowers for a second. As a rookie, Fannin came in and led this team with 72 catches for 731 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is the future. He is TE1. But Todd Monken loves 12 personnel, that means 2 tight ends on the field at the same time. To run this system, you need a partner for Fannin. You need a guy who can either maul people in the run game or create a mismatch nightmare in the slot. That brings us to the first name on my list, and this is the one that has me the most excited. If the Browns want to make a splash, they need to call the Baltimore Ravens and steal Isaiah Likely. Think about the fit. Likely has spent his entire career in Baltimore operating in a 2 tight end system alongside Mark Andrews. He knows exactly how to thrive when he isn't the primary focus. He is only 25 years old, incredibly athletic, and versatile enough to line up in the slot or out wide. He is a chess piece in the truest sense of the word. Monken knows him. The coaching staff knows what he can do. Imagine a formation with Harold Fannin Jr. on one side and Isaiah Likely on the other. Linebackers wouldn't stand a chance. Likely is projected to command around $9 million a year on the open market. That is significantly cheaper than what Njoku was asking for, and arguably, you're getting a player with more upside who is just entering his prime. So, I have to ask you right off the top, is Isaiah Likely the move? I want you to go down to the comments section and let me know. Type S if you want the Browns to sign him and create the most athletic tight end duo in the league. Or, type P if you want to pass because you'd rather spend that money on the offensive line or wide receiver depth. I'll be down there reading your replies. Now, if you are in the pass camp, I get it. The salary cap is tight. Maybe the smarter play is to find a specialist in the NFL draft, someone who can do the dirty work so Fannin can stay free to catch passes. This leads me to a prospect who screams Cleveland Brown. Let's talk about Ohio State's Will Kakmarek. I know, he isn't the flashiest name in the draft. He isn't going to run a 4.40. But Will Kaczmarek is a brawler. Standing at 6 feet 6 inches and 258 pounds, he is widely considered the best blocking tight end in this entire class. If the Browns want to get back to their identity running the football, dominating the line of scrimmage, and protecting the quarterback, Kaczmarek is the perfect fit. We know the Browns want to unlock the run game. Whether it's Nick Chubb or potentially a new face like Quinton Judkins, you need tight ends who can seal the edge. Kaczmarek is basically a sixth offensive lineman who can catch. He had a solid career at Ohio State, grabbing a couple of touchdowns and proving he can be a safety valve, but you draft him to move bodies. He's likely a day 3 pick rounds 4 through 7, which makes him extremely cost-effective. You plug him in, let him block, and let Fannin handle the glory. But maybe you want a little more versatility in your rookie. Maybe you want a guy who can block and threaten the seam. That takes us up north to Michigan and Marlon Klein. Klein is a fascinating prospect. He's originally from Germany, and he's still developing, but the physical tools are undeniable. Field Yates over at ESPN has him ranked as a top 5 tight end in this class because of his ceiling. He's 6 feet 6 inches, runs like a deer, and showed massive improvement as a blocker during his senior year. The Browns need depth. The offensive line struggled last year, and having a tight end like Klein who can chip a defensive end and then release into a route is invaluable. He offers more receiving upside than Kaczmarek, but he's still going to be available in those middle rounds. If Andrew Berry wants a do-it-all replacement on a rookie contract, Marlon Klein is the name to circle on your draft board. Now, let's pivot to the biggest name on this list, the one that will break the internet if it happens. It is the rumor that refuses to die, and frankly, I think where there is smoke, there is fire. Travis Kelce. Yes, he is a free agent. Yes, there is chatter about retirement. But let's look at the facts. Travis Kelce is a Cleveland Heights native. He has never been shy about his love for this city. He wears it on his sleeve. And with the Chiefs potentially entering a transition period, there is a very real possibility that Kelce wants one final chapter. A homecoming. Imagine the scenes. Travis Kelce, wearing the orange and brown, playing his final season for his hometown team. It's the kind of storybook ending that sports movies are made of. And don't let the age fool you, he is still elite. Last season, he put up 851 yards and 5 touchdowns. That is more production than any pass catcher on the Browns roster not named Fannin. He brings leadership. He brings championship DNA. And he brings a reliability on third down that this offense desperately needs. Is he a long-term solution? No. But for a one-year rental to try and make a Super Bowl push, it makes all the sense in the world. He already knows the AFC. He knows how to win in January. And imagine the mentorship he could provide to a young guy like Harold Fannin Jr. that alone might be worth the contract. So, here is the big question of the day: should the Browns bring Travis Kelce home? I want to know where you stand. Is he too old? Is it a waste of money? Or is it the perfect ending to a legendary career? Type Y for yes, bring him home. Type N for no, let him retire. I really want to see the poll results on this one, so get those votes in. Finally, I have one more name for you. A sleeper in the draft that not enough people are talking about. If we miss out on Likely and Kelce, Andrew Berry might look west to Utah and Delton Bentley. Utah has become tight end recently, producing guys like Dalton Kincaid, and Bentley is next in line. Mel Kiper has him ranked as the number 2 or 3 tight end in the entire class. And when you look at him, you see why. The guy is a mountain, 6 feet 4 inches, 264 pounds. He is built like a tank, but he moves like a sports car. Bentley had a breakout year in 2025, showing he can be a focal point of a passing attack. He catches everything. He runs through tackles. And because he's coming from Utah's system, you know he is disciplined and tough. He is likely a day 3 pick or maybe a late day 2 pick, which fits Andrew Berry's strategy perfectly. You draft Bentley, pair him with Fannin, and suddenly you have 2 young, cost-controlled tight ends who can grow together for the next 4 or 5 years. It's the smart, sustainable play that keeps the salary cap healthy while keeping the talent level high. So there you have it, Browns fans. The David Njoku era is over, but the future is wide open. Whether we spend the money on Isaiah Likely, bring the hometown hero Travis Kelce back for a curtain call, or build through the draft with tough, physical players like Kaczmarek, Klein, or Bedley, the options are there. The front office has a massive decision to make. Do they go for the quick fix or the long-term build? Personally, I think pairing Fannin with a veteran like Likely or Kelce makes this offense dangerous immediately. But I trust Andrew Berry to find the value. We will be tracking this story every single day as we get closer to free agency. If a signing happens, we will be live. If a trade happens, we will be live. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. As always, stay safe, stay loyal, and go Browns.